Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It is Tuesday, October 8th, 2024. So, what are we talking about today? We're talking about when sometimes too big is too much when it comes to farm tractor and small engine repair. I know where your minds were, and I would imagine that the title is going to be a clickbait. I'll probably go viral. But today we're going to talk about my meager beginnings in the small engine repair business and what we took on for repairs and what we shouldn't have. So stay tuned. Alrighty, welcome back. My name is Eric, and yes, today is Tuesday. This is the weekday, Monday through Friday, available on podcast for your listening pleasure anytime you want. So today's October 8th, and I got to thinking about this yesterday because I now have 6 trailers, but in my meager beginnings back in '06, when we decided to do this venture, I had a POS, a piece of trailer that I think it was given to us. And it was somebody's old snowmobile trailer. And they had put a couple sheets of chipboard, which chipboard doesn't do well in the weather, does it? Plywood, treated plywood, something. No, chipboard. And you had to be careful when you walked on it because you put your foot right through it. But at the time, we really couldn't afford to do much, right? And we had this favorite saying when we went to pick up something to work on is if you hear a loud noise, don't look back, keep driving. Meaning it wasn't worth going back and getting the damn thing. Because it was a POS. And at that time, we weren't doing repairs so much as buying and fixing and reselling, okay? And that's when Facebook Marketplace was in its infancy, and we used Craigslist. But we would buy up used lawnmowers, excuse me, that weren't running, and we would sell them for a profit. That was our starting point, right? And what we did, we went to a couple of the big small engine repair shops, that were floor planning and all that, and approached them on buying their crap, that they didn't want to dink with. And that was our niche, for a couple of years, was we were buying stuff that nobody else wanted to deal with and then putting the time into it. And sometimes, we were doing Frankenstein machines. Sometimes 2 or 3 machines to make one, We weren't making big money, but we were making money at it. Enough so that that's when I started doing the parts. It was like 2007, 2008. Because I was getting discouraged because we couldn't get any parts. Or if I ordered parts from the local repair shops, it might be a week or 2 out, and we needed them then till we get our money, right? But as we did this, then we started having people ask us, would you be willing to work on our lawnmower? Never thought of that. At that time, I had a sales tax number, but the business didn't have a name. Doing business as Northern New York Parts. We were under a corporate account, which is mine, and we were working under that corporate account, okay? But it had nothing to do, the name of the business had nothing to do with small engine repair, right? Or repairs or anything like that. It was an IT company that I had started. So we just kind of used the sales tax number as a blanket. And at that time, I was doing eBay and Amazon, but not in small engine parts. I was buying and reselling stuff, And that first trailer didn't last long. I can remember that's when I found out we needed DOT numbers. Is we got stopped by a state trooper, and he just got out of the car and looked at the trailer, looked at us, looked at the stuff that's on it, and he goes, "Come on, guys." And Claude's like, "What?" Said, "You know what? You know, is it even registered?" And I said, "Yeah, it's registered." He said, "It's not even roadworthy." He said, "It's unsafe." But he said, "I know you guys are starting a business. I know I've seen you hauling crap around on that POS of a trailer. I'm going to give you a warning and tell you, you got to get something better. And the other thing is, you need DOT numbers." I didn't know what a DOT number was. Claude did because he drove tractor trailer. I thought tractor trailers and big trucks were the only thing that had DOT numbers. But he explained to us very nicely that no, even pickups have DOT numbers if you're using it for business. You can have a personal vehicle, but if you hook to a business piece of equipment and you're using it in your business as well, then they want DOT numbers on it if you're making money at it. And that's just so that you have to follow, what they have in the trucks, fire extinguishers, flares, triangle squares, and keeping equipment in good shape. And that means whatever you're hauling behind you, which is a trailer. So I remember going to Tractor Supply, and they had a 7 by 14 single axle with a drop down back gate and then a side gate that dropped down. Oh, I thought I was in seventh heaven, but it was 1,400, I think, plus tax. So we need to make that somewhere in the business to pay me back. And we were going to junk that old trailer that we were using. But some kid come along and wanted to know if it was for sale. I said, "Give me $100 for it," and he gave me $100, and off he went. Probably needed the registration for a different trailer. Who cares? So we graduated to that trailer, and it was like we were sitting pretty, right? And at the time, I had a Nissan Frontier, a little single cab. It wasn't very big. And we beat the crap out of that thing. But when is too big, too much, right? And when we first started getting into doing actual repair work, we were open to just about anything. So I was doing ads on Craigslist and Facebook. And one of the housing authorities got a hold of us and said, "Do you guys work on hydrostatic transmissions?" And we said, "Yeah. Why not? We'll work on anything." So it was a John Deere zero turn. It wasn't your normal John Deere zero turn. We took that fancy Tractor Supply trailer, went over, and took one look at the machine they were talking about. And the issue is one would drive good and the other one was a little bit on the slow side. It was humongous. It had the big old diesel engine on it. And the guy hopped on it. He said, "You sure it'll fit on this trailer?" I said, "If you can keep it in between the fender wells, yeah." So he did. He babied it and loaded it up on, and I could see that trailer just squatting. Squatting. Even the tires looked like they were going to be going flat on it. So we couldn't even shut the end gate. That's how big it was. We ended up having to bungee it to the machine. How professional do you think that looked to the housing authority? So we loaded her up and brought her back to our shop, the heifer barn. And something didn't look right about the trailer. When Claude took the zero turn off, he backed it off. That thing was so heavy that the frame of the trailer, a trailer that wasn't even 2 months old, actually broke the frame. The rails that go back, main rails. So I just explained to Claude, you're going to have to weld them up before we take it back. He says, why? He's just going to do it again. But that was our big commercial account that we took on. And we probably should have said no at the time because we didn't have an adequate trailer to handle it. Had that state trooper seen us with our new trailer and that humongous beast on, he would have wrote tickets until hell froze over, right? But again, now we're in a different boat. I got a brand new trailer, and now we're up against stuff that is too big to go on that trailer. This is a never-ending problem when you get into small engine repair if you're doing pickup and drop-offs. So I see on Craigslist, there's a company, it's about an hour away, and they're going through and doing some cleaning. And they got this trailer that's been sitting for almost a year, and they want to get rid of it. So I give them a call, and we end up. They said, come to the front office when you get here. We'll take you out back. So we did. We went up, and it ended up having a pintle hitch, which we didn't have. And I said, what do you got to have for the trailer? And he said, make me an offer. I said, would you take $400 for it? He said, sold. He said sold too fast. I could have got it probably for $200. But he said, it's stuck in the snowbank. We had some snow last night, and all you could see was just the tongue sticking out. And he said, by the way, we'd like to have it out of here today. Really? So I told Claude, I said, we're an hour away. Why not get out here today? And he said, we don't have a pintle hitch for the truck. Because I had the Reese hitch, right? So I end up paying full price on that pintle hitch. I could have got it anywhere else for like $100, but this one place had it for $260. What are you going to do? You know, you're between a rock and a hard place, and I was going to go up to $800 on the trailer. So I had the money with me. So we bought that and come back. And by that time, they had a payloader at this manufacturing place. And he had dug around the outsides of it as close as he could get without hitting it. And we hooked onto it and gave it a couple of good runs, which that little Nissan, she didn't weigh very much. So the guy with the payloader just stuck it underneath the back duals because it was a tandem max trailer and just give her a little tonk and broke the tires free, and we brought it right out. Well, 2 tires were flat. So the guy says, pull over next to the repair shop down there and we'll pump them tires up for you. And so we did. They pumped them up and the tires held. And all the way home, that poor little Nissan, you could feel it rocking back and forth on that pintle. So we had bought a bigger trailer to haul stuff like that. Housing authorities, zero turn. But then we didn't have the truck really matching the trailer, right? So this is a never-ending thing. You have to keep buying crap. So I ended up started looking for an F-250, a 3/4 ton truck that we could buy reasonable to use just specifically for this. And my brother-in-law happened to have one, and he was going to retire it and go buy a brand new one. So I asked him what he wanted for it, and he told me, and I said, I'll take it. So I ended up paying him, and he sold it to me for $2,500. All right? So you can see it's costing money because you're starting to try to build the business, right? And the trailer was so old it had mobile home tires that had the spacers. The only good thing is mobile home tires were readily available for that style. So we ended up finding a few extra and putting good spares to go with that trailer. But it didn't stop there because we kept getting bigger things, you know. And instead of saying, you know, okay, here's the cutoff on size wise, we weren't turning away any work. You know, if someone did ask us about a skidder, and we worked on, since we started, we worked on 3 different skidders. You know, so we've never turned down any kind of work. The only work that we do turn down now is anything that requires going into the shop, right? And that is if it's bigger than 9 foot wide, 7 foot tall, then if we can't take the cab off it or the exhaust off from it, we can't get it inside. And during the summer months, it's not so bad. But winter months, if you're going to work on something, you want it inside where it's heated and comfortable to work and you're not freezing your ass off. Summertime, you can work on it in between raindrops out in the yard, keep it covered up. But the bigger the trailer we got, the bigger the stuff we started hauling. And the business was starting to take off online with the parts. And I started looking at expending more money in the right places, you know, that I thought. And that was, I ended up putting a 5th wheel plate, gooseneck plate, in the back of my brother-in-law's truck. And I went out and I bought a tandem axle gooseneck trailer, 16 foot with a dovetail. And that was for the big ones. You know, and at one point, you're going to laugh. At one point, I owned a single axle dump truck, a big dump truck with a tandem axle pintle hitch with was it a 15,000 weight limit on it? Because I had a backhoe and my excavator, the Hitachi E60, you could put it on that trailer. It was close. But the truck we had a license for, so you could do it with a regular driver's license. You didn't need your CDL. And CDL in New York is just, you stepped up to, you have to test out, permit out with a bigger truck. And there's levels of CDLs and all the way up to tractor trailer. But the problem is if you put one shovel full of dirt in that dump box, you were overloaded. And now it was CDL. But I bought the truck and trailer as a package from a neighbor of ours that said, you seem like you're getting into bigger stuff, Eric. Do you need bigger? Here's a big trailer and a big dump truck that I'm no longer using. It was a gas dump truck, so it loved its fuel. And constantly, Claude was jumping out of the cab, lifting the hood, taking the air breather off, and trying to put the air breather out because he had it backfire and catch fire inside the air breather. So he just started running it without the air breather, the air filter. If I just wrote a book or had a video on the trials and tribulations of when Claude and I go out, called our adventures, because it's never mundane. Something always happens. It's just the law out there, the way things crumble. Even as simple as last week, we took the tandem axle, gooseneck, hooked it to my dually, and we went a little over an hour away to pick up this John Deere 4000, right? There's only 200 of them made in the U.S. How many still exist? I don't know, but this is one of them, and it's in mint shape. And you have to go up these huge hills and then down these hills to get to the farm where it's at. So first thing is, Claude is like, we need to test these brakes. But we end up using the truck and dropping it into low and having it use the engine to hold it back too. But we did have good trailer brakes and good truck brakes. But this girl weighed a lot. She's a big girl. And I knew I could haul it, but I didn't know how well I could haul it. Because my Deutz is a 7085, and that's a big four-wheel drive. And I brought that from 2 hours away all the way home, 40 miles an hour, and stopping every so often because the tires were heating up. So we got almost into the village that's still 12 miles away. And doesn't it, we see a car go by and they're flashing at us and going like this. And I said, is that somebody you know, Claude? And he says, nope, but he said, I see smoke rolling off the back end of the trailer. I said, well, pull the freaking thing over. He said, I'm trying. So we get off the shoulder of the road, and sure enough, we blew one of the tires. And he was clipping along at 55, 60, and those tires were getting hot, carrying the weight. He should have known better, but I said, there's no way we're going to limp this home on one tire on that side, right? 13 miles yet to go. I said, but I know the guy that owns the garage. It's just 2 miles up the road. Can you limp it to his garage? And he's like, well, what are we going to do there? I said, I'm going to have them see if they can't jack this up, the trailer with the tractor on it. If not, we'll take the tractor off, and then we can jack it with our jack, get the tire off, get the spare, put that on, and be done. And Rick, he's a gem. I mean, he's got a nice automotive repair shop. Again, make these guys your friends instead of enemies. So he says, looks like you're not having a good day, Eric. I said, really? And what I've done for Rick in the past is he's had lawnmower problems, and I wouldn't charge him, just for parts, because you work with each other, right? So he sent out one of his guys with a big floor jack, jacked the trailer up with the tractor on it, swapped the tire out, took the spare off. The spare was low on air, so they pumped that up. And Rick charged me $20 just to cover the guy's time working on and the guy was having a blast talking with Claude. They were old mechanics from way back. But here's a dilemma that you have to realize when you get into doing hauling and pick up and drop offs and this and that, is you need to get a decent trailer with a decent truck, match them up, and don't go over the weight limits. Understand your limits and don't push it. This same tandem axle trailer that we pulled out of the snowbank, we took it almost 2 hours away to do a job to get a guy's tractor. And that's when we lost the one hind wheel off the dual trailer. It come rolling past me. And I did a video on that. You're going to have breakdowns, but you as shop owners have to decide how big is too big and have a cutoff. What can fit into your shop, to what size trailers you have. All that stuff has to take into consideration. So I'd like to hear some of the stories from you, especially you, Amos. I know you've got some on your trials and tribulations of sometimes too big is too big and too much. So on that note, you guys have a great Tuesday, and we'll catch you here bright and early tomorrow morning. Again, thanks so much for watching.